Hello, Chi Sisters. Today I'd like to focus on the concept of expansion and contraction. There are definitely other videos about this topic. It's one that I personally never get tired of. I hope that's true for you too. What I want to talk about is that as we move from the fall to the winter, right? We're at the start of winter in just a few days now. There's a shifting in terms of attention. So there's been the sort of coming back to the bone, coming back to the essence, that's the fall. And when we go into the winter, it's really about allowing energy to gestate. So it's a time of contraction. Now, we live in a culture that says it's important to be expansive all the time, to be out there, to be extroverted, to be connected, to be doing. This is a time that invites us to go into that sense of being, to be connected with ourselves, to listen deeply inside, to allow the introverted part of ourselves to dominate. And that's not always easy, right? I know for myself, because I'm still letting the dust settle around the transition, around what it was for my mom to die and the whole process I went through with her. And plus, there's so much that's sort of intensely contractive that's happening in the world around us, whether it's, shootings or floods or fires or all the earthquakes, all the different types of things that are impacting our sisters and brothers across the planet, as well as ourselves personally, that it's really important at this time to honor that inner time. It's not that we don't get out and do things, or we don't help, or we don't serve, or we don't deal with whatever it is that we have to deal with, but it's also about really listening deeper inside. It's taken me a while, I have to admit, just to be transparent, to really practice what I teach. I've had one of you had reflected to me, you seemed a little more inner in the last coaching call, and I realized that there has been part of me that's going inside, that I have not really been practicing what I teach enough, and I've been kind of more out there than I need to be right now, and I'm making some intensely difficult for me choices around taking time off. In fact, I'm going to go off into the wilderness for 5 days for a little retreat off the grid. So I know that I need some time to listen inside, to journal. I do these things anyway, sort of as maintenance, but to really bring that up in the fore. So I invite you to think for yourself right now, what is it that your inner voice is calling you to? Now, you don't have to go rearrange your life to do an inner retreat for 5 days or a week or 2 weeks or whatever. You don't need to do that. But it is worthwhile to take a moment to say, if I listen to myself deeply, what I feel, what is really coming forward is what's asking of me is to, and maybe it's to do volunteer work, maybe it's to take more hot baths, maybe it's to connect with an herbalist. It could be anything, but I'd like you to look at what is it that will, it's not just about self-care, but allow that which is the internal process of whatever it is that you're processing these days. How can you listen to it a little more deeply? What is something that you could do or embrace in your day that would allow this to resonate more fully? Because this is the call right now. Nature's calling us to come inside. So of course, we want to do some Qigong to help embody that. What I would recommend that you do for this is actually lotus balancing, because I believe that lotus balancing is a way to really be able to listen, because of course, we don't want to just move to the mountaintop. Well, maybe we do, but I want to just move to the mountaintop and cut off all ties and just cut everything off. But at the same time, don't want to be so in the swirl of demands, requests, or even calls to action that you might be facing, that you may want to answer, to be able to balance those two things, to have one live inside the other, so that as you go internal, that helps get the momentum, the movement to go back to external. And when you're external, to allow that to be the zone as you slowly start to draw yourself back in, so that we have the yin inside of the yang inside of the yin, that's symbolized by the Tao symbol. So I know this is a lot of concepts to think about, but what I want to do is just really encourage you to do lotus balancing with me now, and I would like you to try doing it every morning, first thing in the morning when you get up. This won't take you more than 2 minutes, but to just balance yourself, because we are in a seasonal transition. You may find yourself, like me, in a personal transition as well. It's a good idea to just pull up one of those pivot to positive movements and do it. So What do you think? We have a coaching call in a few days. How about if you do this every single day until our coaching call? 2 to 3 minutes every single day, okay? So, including the morning of the call. So that's just 3 days. So what we're going to do is bring one hand up. I'm going to go ahead and lower this down a little bit. All right. And I'm going to put one hand about hip level and the other hand around the shoulder level, and bring your arms forward so that you want to have a sense that there's space underneath your armpits, your jaw's relaxed, the space between your eyebrows is relaxed. Now, of course, you can look at this form on the Pivot to Positive program and just focus on the form itself, but just for right now, let's do it together. Okay, so one hand goes down as the other comes up, and then we change it, and one hand, and the palm turns towards the direction that you're moving in. So if you're going up, the palm's up. If you're going down, the palm is down. I know I'm not exactly in frame, but like I said, you can see this form in the Pivot to Positive program. But what I would like you to focus on right now is really looking at your own posture. You want to soften the space behind your knees. Make sure the sits bones are hanging down towards your heels, and the tailbone is hanging down towards the ground at the same time that your crown is lifted toward the head. So as we're bringing one hand down, we're connecting with earth energy, or grounding, and saying yes to that inner yin part. And as the hand comes up, we're connecting with the sky, with our inspiration, with that sense of spark, and letting ourselves feel that larger sense of being out, or yang. So we're balancing yin and yang, heaven and earth, or earth and heaven, I should say. And as you're doing this movement, you're also focusing on the currents of air that you might feel in your fingertips. So wake up the tips of your fingers and see if you can feel the currents of the air, almost like you're stroking corduroy. At the same time, we want to have a sense that there's a heaviness to the air, or a weight to the air. I'd like you to notice, does it feel heavier going down or up? Is the resistance going down or up? Just check and ask yourself. And the other thing that I'd like you to focus on is the two sides of your spine. One hand going down and energy going down that side of the spine as the other hand comes up and energy goes up that side. So you kind of have this piston movement going up and down as you do this movement. So I recommend that you do this 9 repetitions, or 18, or 36. You get to choose. And when I say repetitions, I mean this would be 1, the other side, and then 2, and the other side, and so forth, up to 9, 18, or 36 times when you wake up in the morning. You're going to complete it by bringing your hands to your lower dantian. I'm trying to go on my tiptoes for a second, which isn't very grounded, and put your hands on your lower abdomen and just breathe. So as you breathe, you want to have the left hand covering the right, because the left hand is the yin side, and so that yin side is covering, it's what's dominant. You're going for listening inside. What internal part of me can I honor today or in the next few days? So I'd love you to answer that question, journal about it if you like, write about it in Facebook, send it to me in email, however it is you want to communicate with me or us, please do. But do take the time. You're worth 2 to 3 minutes in the morning to create balance, to be able to really weather the transition from autumn to winter, and to be able to really maximize how that energy can serve you. So till next time, be well and let the chi flow. Bye-bye.